Hello and welcome to Senior Wisdom Life, the place where we share practical, uplifting guidance for living well, aging strong and embracing each stage of life with wisdom and joy. Today we're diving into a question that sparks a lot of debate. Is bread really off limits for seniors, especially those managing diabetes? You've probably heard this before. Bread is full of carbs. Stay away if you want to control your blood sugar. But there's another side to that story. Because while some breads can cause those dreaded blood sugar spikes, others, when chosen carefully, can actually support stable glucose levels, better digestion, and even boost your energy throughout the day. So can you still enjoy a slice of bread without guilt? Is it possible that certain types of bread could actually be good for you? Before we dive into the top 5 breads that are both delicious and diabetes-friendly, do us a favor. Hit the like button if this topic resonates with you. Share this video with a friend or loved one who's trying to eat smarter. And most importantly, subscribe to Senior Wisdom Life so we can keep bringing you helpful content that supports your journey toward a healthier, happier life. Now here's something that might surprise you. One of the healthiest types of bread for older adults is often overlooked at the grocery store, not because it's bad, but because it doesn't look as soft or pretty as the white loaves we grew up with. Yet nutrition experts are calling it a comeback star in the fight against diabetes. Stick with us, because in just a moment, we're going to reveal the first bread on our list, one that's packed with ancient wisdom and modern benefits. And trust us, once you try it, you may never go back to your old loaf again. When we think of bread, especially as older adults, we're often told to avoid it at all costs. Too many carbs, they say. But have you ever wondered, are all breads really created equal? Could there be a kind of bread that not only supports your health but nourishes your body, especially if you're managing diabetes in your senior years? That question led me to discover sprouted grain bread, and it changed my life. Sprouting is a natural process where grains are soaked in water and allowed to begin germinating. While this might sound like a small, simple change, it brings about a powerful transformation in both the texture and nutrition of the grain. According to Dr. Sarah Brewer, a leading nutritionist, sprouting activates natural enzymes in the grain, breaking down starches and proteins into more digestible forms like maltose and amino acids. This process also lowers the glycemic index of the bread, meaning it won't spike your blood sugar the way traditional white bread does. Let me tell you about John, a friend of mine who's 68 years old. Before switching to sprouted grain bread, he often complained about feeling sluggish and foggy after eating his usual white toast in the morning. I suggested he try sprouted grain bread instead. He was skeptical at first. It looks like bird food, he joked, but after just a month, he started to notice real changes. I don't crash after breakfast anymore, he told me. I feel alert, I have more energy throughout the day, and I'm not reaching for snacks by mid-morning. After 3 months, he said his mental clarity had improved so much. He was reading books again, and even picked up woodworking, a hobby he hadn't touched in years. So what exactly is happening inside those tiny sprouted grains that make such a difference? When grains begin to sprout, they awaken their natural life force. Enzymes get activated, breaking down complex nutrients into simpler, more absorbable forms. Vitamins B, C, and E increase dramatically, sometimes doubling or tripling in content compared to unsprouted grains. According to Dr. Michael Greger, a well-respected physician and author, sprouted grains aren't just easier to digest. They improve nutrient absorption, which is critical for older adults whose digestion has naturally slowed. Another benefit is the reduced presence of phytic acid, a substance found in many whole grains that can block the absorption of important minerals like zinc, iron, and calcium. For seniors concerned about bone health or anemia, this is no small thing. Sprouted grain bread helps unlock those essential nutrients and make them more bioavailable. Perhaps the most impressive feature is its impact on blood sugar. According to the American Diabetes Association, ADA, replacing refined grains with sprouted alternatives can lower the glycemic response by 20-25%. That's a game changer for seniors like us trying to keep glucose levels stable. I've experienced this personally. After switching to sprouted grain bread, I noticed I no longer experienced that post-meal fatigue or mental fog that used to follow my breakfasts. It's a small change, but it had a big effect on how I felt and functioned every day. Have you ever felt drained after eating a typical sandwich or toast? Do you worry about your blood sugar every time you sit down for a meal? If so, sprouted grain bread might be exactly what you need. What amazes me is how such a small shift, just swapping out your usual bread, can lead to such profound benefits. For many older adults, it's not just about what you eat, but how your body handles it. And sprouted grain bread seems tailor-made for the aging digestive system. So why aren't more people eating it? Maybe it's because it's unfamiliar, or maybe we're just set in our ways. But the truth is, this isn't some exotic superfood. It's bread, good, hearty, real bread. Toast it and top it with almond butter and cinnamon, or layer it with avocado and sea salt. These aren't sacrifices, they're acts of self-care. Are you ready to try something new that could improve your daily energy, digestion, and blood sugar stability? What's holding you back? I encourage you to try sprouted grain bread for just a week and see how you feel. Share your experience with me. I'd love to hear what changes you notice. And this is just the beginning. Other types of bread are equally gentle on the body and nourishing for the soul, like oat bread, for example. But first, let's master sprouted grain bread, because when you find a food that respects your body, it's worth holding on to. Oat bread is a quiet hero among foods that support healthy aging. For those of us navigating the complexities of senior health, especially when it comes to diabetes, digestion, and heart function, oat bread offers a reliable, comforting source of nourishment. The power of oat bread begins with beta-glucan, a unique soluble fiber found in oats. Numerous studies have shown beta-glucan to be essential for managing blood glucose levels and improving cardiovascular health. A 2018 review in the journal Foods found that consuming at least 3 grams of beta-glucan daily can reduce LDL cholesterol by up to 10%. And according to the American Diabetes Association, beta-glucan-rich diets help moderate post-meal glucose spikes, a concern for anyone monitoring their blood sugar. For older adults, this means more than just good numbers on a glucose meter. It means stable energy levels throughout the day and fewer dizzy spells, mood swings, or energy crashes that often come from quick-digesting carbs. But beyond blood sugar, beta-glucan also benefits our hearts. As we age, the risk of heart disease increases dramatically. The CDC estimates that nearly 80% of people over 65 have some form of cardiovascular disease. That's why every food choice counts. Dr. David Jenkins, creator of the Glycemic Index, notes oat beta-glucan not only lowers bad cholesterol, it does so without the side effects of medication, making it ideal for seniors. And then there's digestion. Have you ever felt bloated or sluggish after a meal? Constipation or indigestion becomes more common as our gut slows with age. Oat bread, being high in both soluble and insoluble fiber, supports regularity while remaining gentle on the digestive tract. Margaret, a 72-year-old retired school teacher, shared her experience with us. For years, she struggled with chronic indigestion. I used to dread breakfast. I knew I'd be uncomfortable for hours afterward, she said. But after switching from her usual white toast to oat bread, things changed. It took less than 2 weeks before I noticed a huge improvement. I didn't feel bloated. I could go about my day without that awful heaviness. I can personally relate to her story. I used to experience that mid-morning crash, lethargy, cloudy thinking, a strong need to nap. Since incorporating oat bread into my diet, especially as part of a balanced breakfast with protein and healthy fat, I feel steadier. More centered, my digestion is smoother, and I don't feel as weighed down. Have you felt a difference between breads? Do you notice your energy dip shortly after eating certain types? These are clues your body is giving you. Oat bread, especially when made with whole, minimally processed ingredients, might be the upgrade your body has been asking for. Choosing the right oat bread is key. Look for labels that list whole grain oats or oat flour as the first ingredient. Avoid those packed with added sugars, oils, or preservatives. Simplicity is your ally. If you're up for a little kitchen adventure, baking your oat bread can be a therapeutic and rewarding experience. Not only do you control every ingredient, but the smell of fresh-baked bread filling your home is a joy in itself. So while oat bread might not seem flashy, it's a powerful ally for healthy aging. And as we move forward, let's look at a type of bread you may have given up on, a sweet slice of nostalgia that can be reimagined to serve your health goals: cinnamon raisin bread. There's a certain nostalgia baked into cinnamon raisin bread. The scent of cinnamon wafting through a warm kitchen, the soft chew of raisins, the comfort of a sweet slice paired with a cup of tea. These moments remind many of us of family, calm weekends, or breakfast with grandkids. But for seniors managing diabetes or simply trying to eat healthier, sweet breads often come with hesitation or even guilt. But here's the truth: not all sweetness is the enemy. When made with the right ingredients, cinnamon raisin bread can become a delicious, blood sugar-friendly option that also feeds your soul. Let's talk science first. Cinnamon, one of the key ingredients in this bread, has been shown in multiple clinical studies to improve insulin sensitivity. According to a 2003 study published in the journal Diabetes Care, consuming just 1 to 6 grams of cinnamon daily significantly reduced fasting blood sugar levels in people with type 2 diabetes. More recent research has echoed these results, showing cinnamon's ability to slow the breakdown of carbohydrates in the digestive tract, leading to more stable blood glucose levels. Dr. Richard Anderson, a researcher with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, has said cinnamon improves the effectiveness of insulin and may be especially helpful to those who are insulin resistant. This means cinnamon isn't just adding flavor, it's actively helping your body manage sugar more effectively. Of course, that's only half the story. The emotional side of eating, the traditions, the small joys, is just as important. As we age, we often feel pressure to eliminate pleasure from our diets in the name of health. But does being healthy mean we have to give up all that tastes good? Linda, a 70-year-old grandmother from Ohio, struggled with this exact dilemma. Every Sunday morning, I used to bake cinnamon raisin bread for my grandkids. But after my diagnosis, I gave it up cold turkey, she said. I missed it more than I thought I would. Not just the bread, but the tradition, the smiles at the table, the joy. After learning about whole wheat versions of the bread with less added sugar and incorporating cinnamon for its health benefits, she found a way back. Now I make a version that's sweetened mostly by the raisins themselves, with whole wheat flour and a sprinkle of cinnamon. It tastes wonderful, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. It's something I feel good about. Her story mirrors what many of us feel, the tension between indulgence and responsibility, but we don't have to choose one or the other. With a little awareness and smart substitutions, we can have both. From a nutritional perspective, choosing whole wheat flour makes a big difference. Unlike refined white flour, whole wheat contains more fiber and nutrients, which slow down digestion and help regulate blood sugar levels. Raisins, though naturally sweet, also contain fiber and antioxidants. When eaten in moderation and paired with healthy fats or proteins like almond butter or Greek yogurt, the glycemic impact of the meal is significantly reduced. Have you ever felt like you were cheating by eating something you loved? Have you ever skipped a favorite meal out of fear, only to feel like something was missing from your day? These experiences are not just physical, they're emotional. Food is more than fuel. It's a connection, celebration, and memory. I've also wrestled with this. There was a time when I cut out all forms of bread from my diet out of fear, but that only made me anxious and honestly less happy. Once I started reintroducing thoughtfully made breads, like cinnamon raisin bread crafted from whole, honest ingredients, I felt more in control, not just of my blood sugar, but of my joy. So let's ask ourselves, is it the sweetness that's the problem? Or is it how we approach it? How do we balance it? Maybe what we need isn't restriction, but a return to mindful, intentional eating. Choose a whole wheat cinnamon raisin bread that uses minimal added sugars and let cinnamon and fruit bring the flavor. Toast it, spread a thin layer of almond butter, and enjoy it slowly with your morning tea or coffee. Feel the difference not just in your body, but in your spirit. And speaking of small joys, what about the comforting aroma of banana bread fresh from the oven? Believe it or not, with a few smart adjustments, this American classic can also support your health goals. Let's explore how banana nut bread can be reimagined for a diabetes-friendly lifestyle. There's something deeply comforting about banana bread. The scent alone can transport you to childhood, to quiet Sunday mornings, to a warm kitchen and a familiar table. But for those of us trying to manage blood sugar and reduce inflammation as we age, traditional banana bread, with its white flour and heavy sugar, is often off the table, or at least it used to be. What if we could enjoy that same comfort without the health risks? The key is in making smarter ingredient choices. One of the most effective changes is swapping out refined white flour for almond flour or oat flour. Almond flour in particular is lower in carbohydrates, higher in healthy fats, and rich in vitamin E and magnesium. It also has a naturally sweet, nutty flavor that complements bananas perfectly. Oat flour is another great option, offering soluble fiber, especially beta-glucan, that helps slow digestion and keeps blood sugar stable. Both of these alternatives are naturally gluten-free and easier on digestion, making them ideal for older adults. Let's also talk about the nuts. Walnuts, the star in many banana nut bread recipes, bring much more than crunch. They are packed with omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidants that support brain health and reduce inflammation. According to a 2019 study published in Nutrients, regular walnut consumption was associated with lower fasting blood glucose and improved endothelial function, both of which are critical for seniors managing diabetes. Dr. Frank Hu from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health notes, walnuts are a powerhouse of nutrition. They not only support cardiovascular health, but they also help regulate blood sugar and improve metabolic markers. This brings me to a story I cherish, about Robert, a 75-year-old retired engineer. Robert used to bake banana bread every Sunday with his wife, but after his diagnosis with prediabetes, he gave it up. "It just didn't feel right anymore," he said. "I didn't want to eat something that would harm me." When I introduced him to a version made with almond flour, ripe bananas, no added sugar, and chopped walnuts, he was skeptical. But the results spoke for themselves. "I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as the original," Robert admitted, "but honestly, I love it even more now. It's lighter, it tastes real, and I don't feel like I'm making a trade-off." More importantly, after a few months of enjoying his revised recipe, Robert's blood sugar levels stabilized. He no longer felt that crash after a sweet bite, and he rekindled his weekly baking tradition, this time with a renewed sense of confidence and joy. Can you think of a food from your past that you've given up in the name of health? What if you could bring it back with a few mindful adjustments? This isn't about denying pleasure, it's about transforming it. Using natural sweetness from ripe bananas, pairing with nuts for healthy fats, and eliminating processed sugars turns banana bread into something that nourishes instead of harms. If you're making it at home, try adding a dash of cinnamon, great for blood sugar, or a spoonful of ground flaxseed for added omega-3s and fiber. Pair a slice with plain Greek yogurt or herbal tea for a balanced, comforting snack. Always remember, joy and health don't have to be at odds. Sometimes, all it takes is a few tweaks to a familiar recipe to turn it into something healing. And speaking of healing, there's one more bread that may surprise you, not sweet, but tangy, ancient, and deeply supportive of gut health. Let's turn now to sourdough bread and the unexpected benefits it offers to seniors like us. There's something deeply satisfying about sourdough bread, the tangy aroma, the chewy crust, the rustic simplicity. For many of us, it's a reminder of family dinners, artisan bakeries, and the slow food of generations past. But beyond nostalgia, sourdough offers powerful health benefits, especially for older adults managing blood sugar, digestion, and overall vitality. The magic of sourdough lies in its fermentation process. Traditional sourdough is made using wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria, which slowly ferment the dough over many hours. This slow fermentation breaks down complex starches and gluten, making the bread easier to digest and less likely to spike blood sugar. According to a 2020 study published in the Journal of Nutrition, sourdough bread has a significantly lower glycemic response than bread made with commercial yeast. This means it causes a slower and steadier rise in blood glucose, ideal for seniors trying to avoid the highs and lows that often follow high-carb meals. Dr. Erica Sonnenberg, a microbiome researcher at Stanford University, explains fermented foods like sourdough feed the beneficial bacteria in our gut, improving digestion, immune function, and even mood stability. For those of us whose digestion has become more sensitive over time, this is great news. The lactic acid produced during sourdough fermentation helps our bodies absorb minerals like magnesium, calcium, and zinc more effectively, nutrients that are often deficient in older adults. Take Helen, for instance, a 76-year-old retiree who had long struggled with bloating and sluggish digestion. "I always loved bread, but it didn't love me back," she laughed, "until I tried sourdough. Now I can enjoy toast with my morning eggs or a sandwich at lunch, and I feel great afterward, no discomfort, no heaviness. I've also made the switch. I used to feel groggy after eating typical store-bought bread. But once I started choosing real sourdough, long fermented, no additives, I noticed more energy and less mental fog. It was a subtle but powerful shift. Have you ever felt like bread just sits in your stomach? Or felt a crash in energy an hour after lunch? If so, sourdough might be worth a try. But make sure it's real sourdough. Check for traditional fermentation methods and avoid shortcuts with added yeast. Another beautiful benefit of sourdough is its ability to be both satisfying and versatile. It's dense enough to keep you full, yet gentle enough on your gut to avoid discomfort. You can toast it and top it with avocado, olive oil, or almond butter. Pair it with soup, cottage cheese, or even fresh tomatoes and basil. It's not just about what it does for your body, it's about what it gives back to your life. Comfort, reliability, and even joy. And that's something we all deserve more of, especially in our later years. So the next time you're at the bakery or grocery store, pause for a moment. Look past the ultra-processed loaves and consider the old-world simplicity of sourdough. You might find that this humble bread is one of the best tools in your wellness toolkit. But as we celebrate these better bread choices, it's also important to talk about what to be cautious of. Not all breads are created equal, and some may be quietly sabotaging your health goals. Let's take a look at which breads to approach with care and how to tell the difference between helpful and harmful. As we celebrate the kinds of bread that can support blood sugar, digestion, and emotional well-being, we also need to have an honest conversation about those that might be working against us, especially for older adults with diabetes or sensitive metabolisms. Have you ever grabbed a loaf of bread at the grocery store because the packaging said light, low-fat, or multigrain, only to feel bloated or sluggish after eating it? If so, you're not alone. Let's start with white bread. This classic loaf, often seen as harmless or comforting, is made from highly refined flour. During processing, the bran and germ are stripped away, leaving behind mostly starch. This type of bread digests rapidly, leading to blood sugar spikes and energy crashes. The glycemic index of white bread is around 75, higher than even some candies. For comparison, sprouted grain bread comes in closer to 45-50. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, frequent consumption of refined grains is associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. As Dr. Walter Willett puts it, refined carbohydrates are one of the most damaging components of the modern diet. Next, we have light or diet breads. These often contain artificial sweeteners, emulsifiers, or excess starches to make up for reduced fat and calories. While they may appear to be healthier, they often do more harm than good, especially for seniors. Many of these additives can disrupt gut health, trigger cravings, or cause bloating. And what about multigrain bread? The name sounds healthy, but unless it clearly says 100% whole grain or whole wheat as the first ingredient, it may simply be white bread with added coloring and seeds sprinkled on top. Always check the ingredient list. If it starts with enriched wheat flour, it's a red flag. Bakery-style sweet breads like cinnamon rolls, blueberry bagels, and honey-glazed loaves may look tempting, but these are often loaded with refined sugars and saturated fats. One slice can have as much sugar as a candy bar. They not only spike blood sugar, but also encourage cravings for more. Even some gluten-free breads aren't as safe as they seem. Many rely heavily on rice flour or potato starch, both of which can cause blood sugar to rise quickly. Just because a bread is labeled gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy. Ask yourself, how do I feel 30 minutes after eating certain types of bread? Energized and light, or tired, foggy, and hungry again? Our bodies are excellent at sending signals. We just need to listen. To make wiser choices, look for breads with whole or sprouted grains listed first. 3 grams or more of fiber per slice. No added sugars. Simple, recognizable ingredients. Remember, being mindful doesn't mean being afraid. It means being aware, reading labels, and understanding what fuels your body best. As we've seen, bread doesn't have to be the enemy. It can be a source of healing, nourishment, and joy when chosen wisely. And with all this knowledge, let's now tie everything together and reflect on what it means to age with confidence, care, and empowered choices, one slice at a time. As we wrap up today's video, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've uncovered. Bread doesn't have to be the enemy, especially not when you choose the right kind. From sprouted grain to oat, cinnamon raisin to banana nut, and even traditional sourdough, there are wholesome, delicious breads that not only satisfy your taste buds, but also support your health goals. If you've ever felt like your favorite foods are slipping away as you get older, you're not alone. But here's the good news. Aging doesn't mean giving up joy. It means making smarter, kinder choices that align with your body's needs. You don't have to sacrifice tradition or flavor to protect your blood sugar. You just have to know what to reach for on the shelf and what to leave behind. Remember what we always say here at Senior Wisdom Life. Healthy living isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It's about learning how to enjoy your meals again without fear. It's about reclaiming your energy, your comfort, and your confidence, one mindful bite at a time. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's your go-to bread these days? Have you tried any of the ones we talked about in this video? Or maybe you've got a recipe or tip that's worked wonders for your health. Drop it in the comments below. We read everyone and love hearing from our community. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Wisdom Life. It's the best way to support what we do and help others find practical, heart-centered content for aging well. Until next time, take good care of yourself. And remember, the table is still a place of joy, connection, and healing at any age.